Welcome back, champions. Today we step into the depths of an ancient tradition that has shaped civilizations, Confucianism. In a world that is constantly evolving, how can we honor the wisdom of the past while adapting to the relentless pace of modern life? Together, we will explore how a true believer of Confucianism strikes this delicate balance and why it's vital for your personal growth and success. As we face the challenges of today's world, one question lingers. How do we respect tradition without becoming slaves to it? Confucius, a master of wisdom, taught that the key to living a meaningful life lies in understanding the intricate relationship between the past and the present. His teachings emphasize that tradition is not something to be blindly followed, but something to be respected, interpreted, and applied with wisdom. To truly understand Confucianism, we must first grasp the foundational idea of respect. Respect for elders, for the wisdom passed down through generations, and for the rituals that connect us to our cultural roots. But this respect is not about rigidly clinging to outdated practices. It's about using tradition as a lens through which we understand the world, making it relevant to our current lives. This is where the true believer in Confucianism finds their strength, navigating the tension between honoring tradition and embracing the future. Confucius once said, the master said, "Is it not a pleasure, having learned something, to try it out at due intervals? Is it not a joy to have friends come from afar? Is it not gentlemanly not to take offense when others fail to appreciate your abilities?" Here we see the core of Confucian thought. It is not enough to learn. One must apply that learning thoughtfully and harmoniously, keeping an open heart while respecting the world's diverse perspectives. In the modern world, we often feel pulled in different directions, constantly pressured to innovate, to look forward, to disrupt the status quo. The pressures to modernize are intense, and yet, the Confucian believer does not discard the wisdom of the past simply for the sake of progress. Instead, they recognize that the most effective way to move forward is to draw strength from the traditions that have stood the test of time. This belief in the power of tradition does not make the Confucian believer rigid or conservative in the negative sense. On the contrary, it makes them adaptable, capable of leveraging ancient knowledge to solve contemporary problems. They understand that wisdom is not just an intellectual pursuit. It is the foundation of a life well lived, and it's something that must be continuously cultivated. As we face the whirlwind of modern challenges, fast-paced technology, shifting social norms, constant distractions, how do we maintain the clarity to see what is important? How do we avoid getting lost in the noise? The Confucian answer is clear: by grounding ourselves in the enduring truths that have been passed down to us. This doesn't mean rejecting new ideas, but rather filtering them through the lens of tradition, making sure that they align with values such as integrity, respect, and humility. A true believer of Confucianism takes action with wisdom. They understand that respect for tradition is not about blind obedience to the past, but about learning from it, adapting its lessons to modern realities. They are always seeking balance, never allowing themselves to be swept away by the rapid currents of the modern world. They remain anchored, even as they adapt, always guided by the steady hand of timeless wisdom. Think of the stories of Confucius himself, a man who lived in a world full of turbulence, but whose teachings have transcended centuries. His commitment to personal growth, ethical living, and respect for tradition shaped not only his own destiny, but the futures of millions. In today's context, we too are called to honor the wisdom of the past while embracing the needs of the present. What does it mean to respect tradition in our world today? It means understanding that the past is not an anchor that holds us down, but a foundation that allows us to rise. The true Confucian believer does not reject the future. They shape it with the tools provided by the past. They know that the key to success lies not in blindly following trends, but in understanding the underlying principles that have guided humanity for millennia. As we reflect on this, let us also consider how we can apply Confucian respect for tradition to our own lives. How can we take the lessons of the past and use them to shape our future? How can we remain true to our values, even as the world around us changes? It's a delicate balance, one that requires introspection, humility, and a willingness to adapt. But those who master this art will find themselves not only surviving in the modern world, but thriving in it. Imagine a life in which we can honor the past without being shackled by it. A life where tradition is a source of strength, not a burden. This is the life of the true Confucian believer, one who embraces both the wisdom of the ancients and the challenges of the present, with equal grace and wisdom. They know that true mastery of life comes not from rejecting the old, but from integrating it with the new. In the pursuit of success, we often look for quick fixes, fast results, and immediate gratification. But the Confucian path reminds us that true growth takes time, and it requires discipline. To honor tradition is to dedicate ourselves to long-term goals, to cultivate virtues that last, and to understand that the journey itself is the reward. The Confucian believer does not seek shortcuts. They seek wisdom that will serve them throughout their entire life. In a world that celebrates rapid change and constant innovation, the Confucian believer stands as a pillar of stability, knowing that the best way to move forward is to first understand where we've come from. The past is not an obstacle to progress. It is a source of deep strength, an endless reservoir of lessons that can guide us through even the most turbulent times. By embracing tradition with open eyes and a willing heart, we are empowered to face the future with clarity and confidence. The road to mastery is filled with obstacles. It takes the courage to confront the status quo, to remain steadfast in the face of pressure, and to live with unwavering integrity and virtue. It requires the strength to resist the pull of temporary distractions and to focus on what truly matters: the cultivation of wisdom, the development of character, and the creation of a life that lasts. The true believer in Confucianism understands that success is not measured by wealth or status alone. It is measured by the depth of our character, by the strength of our relationships, and by our ability to live in harmony with the world around us. By respecting tradition, we are able to create a foundation upon which we can build a life of meaning and purpose. So, as we journey through life, we must ask ourselves, are we firmly rooted in the wisdom of the past, or are we being swept away by the fast currents of modernity? Are we truly taking the time to learn from those who came before us, or are we too focused on rushing ahead? A true believer in Confucianism understands that the key lies not in extremes, but in the delicate balance between honoring tradition and embracing progress. As we reflect on this, let's also consider the role of community in our growth. The Confucian believer walks this path not in isolation, but alongside others. They understand that real progress comes from shared wisdom and collective effort. By respecting the traditions that have shaped us, we also honor those around us, recognizing that our journey is interconnected with theirs. True growth comes from nurturing these bonds and fostering mutual responsibility. In the same way, we are not isolated from the world around us. The Confucian believer sees themselves as a part of a larger whole, a part of a community, a society, and a world that is constantly changing. But in the midst of this change, they remain grounded in timeless principles, using them as a foundation for how they engage with the world. This balance between respect for tradition and engagement with the present is what gives the Confucian believer their strength and wisdom. When we look at the great Confucian philosophers who came before us, we see that they too faced challenges similar to the ones we face today. They too lived in a rapidly changing world, one full of social upheaval and political strife. Yet they did not succumb to despair or fear. Instead, they turned inward, cultivating the virtues that would allow them to navigate the world with grace and wisdom. They understood that true greatness lies not in avoiding the challenges of life, but in facing them with integrity, humility, and strength. As we apply these lessons to our own lives, we must ask ourselves, how can we remain rooted in tradition while still engaging with the modern world? How can we build lives of meaning and purpose in a world that often seems to prioritize speed and convenience over depth and character? The answer lies in the balance we strike. It is through that balance that we find the path to mastery. So, as we move forward in this ever-changing world, let us remember that true greatness lies not in rejecting the past, but in understanding it and integrating it into our present lives. The Confucian believer does not live in the past, but they live with the past, allowing it to inform and guide their actions in the present. By doing so, they create a life that is not only meaningful, but also enduring. I invite you to reflect on your own life. How can you honor the wisdom of those who came before you while embracing the demands of the present? How can you take action today that will build a better tomorrow? Remember, this is not a journey you take alone. It is a journey we all share, and together, we will find our way to success. If you found value in this video, I invite you to like and subscribe. By doing so, you support not only your own growth, but the growth of this community. If you're eager to explore more ancient wisdom and deepen your understanding, check out our other videos. There's a wealth of knowledge waiting for you to unlock. Until next time, champions, stay strong and stay committed to your path.